It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
Game 6 of the NBA Finals was very different to what we've seen throughout the series. It was a 180 flip compared to Game 5, where the Lakers seemed like they're already in vacation mode, with their stagnant offense and sloppy defense. Last night, the Lakers took charge by cleaning up the issues I pointed out in my last breakdown, while the Heat shot themselves in the foot and collapsed completely within the first 2 quarters. Without further ado, let's look at what happened last night. The first notable change was the starting lineup by Frank Vogel, swapping Howard for Caruso. His box score doesn't stand out much, but he had the highest plus-minus and became the necessary spark. The Lakers struggled with their intensity and effort throughout Game 5, like ball watching and leaving Robinson open from deep. Caruso was out hustling the Heat in Game 6 and tips back his own miss before Bam and Butler could get to it. On this free throw, Caruso boxes out and out-rebounded Bam and Butler, generating another possession. There are 2 benefits to Caruso starting. 1. His hustle is contagious, and the Lakers ramped up their defensive intensity. Rondo picks up Butler near the half-court line. AD gets in position early to help on the drive, trusting that his teammates would bump his man. LeBron puts in the effort to close out, and a great read by Rondo to pick up Crowder on the drive. Caruso's effort forces the off-target pass, and his constant pressure almost forces a turnover. Another benefit is that AD comes off Butler and stays near the rim. Don't get me wrong, AD can hang with Butler, but the Lakers got killed in Game 5 when the Heat kept forcing switches. The Lakers were more crisp with their communication as well. LeBron and Green switches perfectly. LeBron stays on Crowder's high side because of a potential drive by Butler that will get Green out of position. The Heat counters with a slip and AD rotates. In what would have been a surefire bucket, Caruso shows why he was inserted in the starting lineup. In transition, the Heat have numbers. Caruso correctly follows the ball and trusts his teammates to pick up the next open man. AD hustles back, and Caruso picks up Bam even if it was a mismatch. After AD flies by, Green covers for him, while Caruso closed out very well on the next pass, but Robinson just makes a tough shot. The Lakers were switching almost everything on the perimeter. Since Butler has had his way by bullying smaller players, the Lakers double and crowds Butler. He can't see his open teammates and backs out. Check out the shot clock. It's down to under 4 seconds, and KCP was able to tip the ball out of bounds. The Lakers basically sag back every pick and roll. First, it's LeBron, while Rondo is hawking the ball. Then Rondo and Morris execute ice defense on the second pick and roll. Clock is down to 5, with the offense going nowhere. Kuzma helps pack the paint by helping off Iggy, and they force a bad shot. In transition, everyone picks up a man. Rondo benefits off the bad spacing by Bam and Butler to step up and help on the drive. Caruso prepares to help as well in order to pack the paint. After the kickout, LeBron should have picked up Bam, but since that doesn't happen, Rondo picks him up first to prevent any openings. AD fell asleep for a bit, but still hustles out to contest the 3. The Lakers turn it up on the offensive end as well. Their consistent source of offense has been the transition game, and their stifling defense last night only helped with that. I found this pretty funny. The Lakers executed a textbook fast break, but Green couldn't knock down the 3. On the next possession, LeBron said screw it and ignores the open Green in the corner and takes on the defense all by himself. The Lakers shooters aren't the most consistent, but easy layups like these would really help them get going. After a stagnant offense in Game 5, the Lakers added a little bit more actions, and that's all they needed to get their offense running. On the pick and roll, the Lakers added some off-ball weak side screens. It's not much, but occupied to help defenders long enough for Kuzma to get a decent look from deep. Here it is again. Check out how Iggy looks back and sees that he needs to split KCP and LeBron. Caruso sets a screen on him, and KCP drains the wide open 3. The transition buckets definitely helped KCP get going, because he drained 2 big 3s at the end of the second quarter to extend their lead. AD is about to set a screen for Caruso, but this quick handoff was enough to get Harrell a beat behind. This forces weak side rotations, and KCP draws the foul, attacking the closeout. Both LeBron and AD had one goal in mind, and that's to attack the paint. One adjustment they made is getting LeBron at the elbow with a triple threat. He's one dribble away from the basket, and the help can't get there in time. AD channeled the Rockets version of himself, and just bullied smaller defenders at will. Then we have Rondo. Not just any Rondo, playoff Rondo. After a horrible Game 5, where he was taking ill-advised 3s and the offense was stagnant, Rondo constantly attacked the paint. The moment Rondo sees Butler looking away, he drives hard to the paint, beating one of the better perimeter defenders to the rim. Rondo seemed like he had another gear last night, and defenders just couldn't stay in front of him. After stringing together some baskets at the rim, the Heat screws up the defensive coverage, and the basket was looking huge for Rondo at this point. It was also crucial in helping the Lakers getting into their sets. The offense got a bit stagnant, and the spacing was off after the high post entry. You can see the emphasis on extra screening, like Kuzma bodying Crowder. When Morris cuts across, he would usually fade out to the wing. Last night was different. He turned it into a back screen. Both Nunn and Robinson were oblivious, and KCP gets another clean look. There is AD battling inside, and just overpowers every single Heat for the putback. The Lakers could pull out games with their stars alone. If they can make threes and get some random production from just one supporting cast, they turn into juggernauts, and that second quarter was an example. As for the Heat, they really just crumbled within themselves last night. Defensively, they were doing the same things as before, but their weak side help got out of position with all those additional screens by LA. The main problem was on the defensive end. Like I said in my previous video, the only way the Heat stands a chance is an aggressive Butler. His first shot attempt came after 4 minutes of Game 6, where he did get to the rim, but missed an easy bucket. After dictating his matchup in the last game, he didn't do so last night, especially with AD at the 5. The ISO gets nowhere, and Crowder throws up a brick. Whenever he gets a smaller player on him, the Lakers double, but the Heat couldn't feed him the ball, and Bam travels. With Kuzma on him, he was able to get into the paint and bump him off, but he kicks it out instead. They reset, and Butler ISOs on Kuzma again. The same drive and kick was the right play, and they get a decent look for Crowder, but Butler needs to enforce his will on the defensive end. I mean, he could have tried to spin and step back to create space for his mid-range jumper. On the drive, he only has to beat Rondo and had enough space to finish. Maybe he was afraid of an AD block, but they just wasted a great drive to the rim. Butler just seemed off the whole game, possibly because of exhaustion with all the minutes he's played in the series. He actually gets a step on LeBron, but sort of loses the handle, which lets LeBron recover. The kick out leads to a drive by Harrow, but a great defensive possession by the Lakers stars. Butler wasn't the only one off, but Bam wasn't as great as his box score suggests. Double screens is usually when Bam would slip. He doesn't do it, but maybe because it's another set play. When the ball reverses to a Dragic pick and roll, Bam doesn't make any contact and slips, leaving an injured Dragic to create against a locked-in LeBron. On the pick and roll, Butler hits Bam with a pocket pass. This is bread and butter floater, but it just misses. Missed free throws and turnovers were the other two culprits last night. The Heat constantly threw the ball away on dump-off passes. Credit the Lakers' length and defense to force these turnovers, but if players aren't catching the ball, they aren't catching the NBA trophy either. All this happened within the first half of the game. The Lakers ran away and never looked back. There you have it. The LA Lakers are 2020 NBA champions. It's been one hell of a ride for both teams, and they must be proud with what they've accomplished. I was pleasantly surprised that the Heat were able to pull out 2 games after the injury bug hit them, while the Lakers had to overcome their own issues as well. The Lakers are now tied with the Celtics with the most championships. AD got his ring, and LeBron climbs the standings of all-time greats. Most importantly, this was for Kobe. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I've got a lot of videos planned for the off-season, and hopefully I can get them all out in time. So make sure to like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.